Starting the screaming, the online screaming. Okay, and then I'm going to get Teams up here in a sec. All right. Hey, Teams people. All right, let me just drop the linkage for the streaming video on YouTube for everybody. Come on, you dog. All right, okay, dropping it into the chat. Teams is so slow. Okay. All right. Okay, let's rock and roll. Let's hit some of the topics of coolness. Let me get that. Can get rid of that. All right, back on the chat. Let's see. Yeah, 4x4 should be okay now, right? Are we green light? 4x4. It should be. Yep. Okay. Cool. Yeah, it should be there on. It's on Teams and it is on YouTube and it's on Discord. So whatever is most convenient for you to grab is just fine by me. Uh, Most of the chat is on Discord. Let me see what else. James got a job offer. Excellent. Hopefully, it's a good job. Um, Congratulations, James. That's fantastic. What else is going on? Tyler, sink or swim? Swimming lessons where it's sink or swim. That's clever. That was funny. Drowning children humor. Always good. Sink or swim. I think there's actually swimming lessons is where it's not sink and not swim yet. Learning how to swim without sinking. So, alrighty. Hey, let's talk about stuff. Let's and a little bit of interactivity here, por favor. Um, Looking at the stuff coming up. Um, I think we've talked quite a bit about this stuff. I'm not completely sure, but I want to maybe just hit this and wrap it up. But I was thinking for the future, how let me see, a couple of ideas. Just we're kind of free form in here. By the way, do you like my hand gear? It's this knuckle just gets really sore sometimes, and I play the bass, and it's exacerbated. When you play the bass, you kind of like put this against the bridge, and then you sort of, it puts a certain stress on this joint. I don't know if that's That's not the only thing, but I have this little, it's basically a hand brace that is literally designed for that thumb knuckle. So, which could be a good mystery word, mystery phrase, thumb knuckle. Should we go with thumb knuckle? That I like thumb knuckle. All right, there we go. Thumb knuckle. Do whatever you want with that. All right, let me jump over and throw that onto Teams. Hang on a second. Sorry, hardware problem. Not a serious problem. Okay, I just dropped the phrase over on Teams. Anyway, what I was wondering about was uh, we could talk. Let me see. I think we talked a bit. Let me hit some of these things at the top, but I wanted to know if, like, how to use Git. Is that is that an interesting thing? Because I would be, happy. I mean, I don't have a lecture sitting around on how to use Git, but the whole notion of kind of source code repositories becomes an interesting topic, and Git is certainly the de facto sort of standard right now. So that if that might be interesting, I can do just do kind of a lecture next time on Git. We got three left, right? Um, okay, I think we talked about fun projects to put in a portfolio. Oh, but ideas. That's more like ideas. Balancing work projects and personal passion projects. Did we talk about that? Oh man, there's some really good questions in here. Um, James said, thinks Git is something that UVU should include somewhere in the curriculum. Yeah, man, that's a really interesting question because I mean the challenge, of course, James, you understand, I'm sure you do, uh, being a man with a job offer and all, but you know that there's so many things to know, to be exposed to, um, that becomes an interesting, question, I guess. Thanks for, just from a curriculum perspective, how much do you drop on, you know, uh, to everybody as opposed because you definitely should be in a mode of figuring stuff out yourself. You cannot be successful, and I'm not saying that you're pitching this, but I am saying that it is true that you cannot be successful if you only know the things, the subset of the things that were taught in a class. At some point you've got to kind of like take off a little bit and be willing to go after ideas and new technologies and teach yourself a new language. And we try to encourage a lot of that sort of self-motivated learning. Tyler, thanks for the link to the I guess it's a lecture on Git. I'm gonna hang on a second. Just going to drop that link over onto the chat on Teams. Yeah, yeah, I'll give that a look. I mean, if that's as good as I could do, then there's no sense doubling up. Yeah, Foxhound said the last code interview I had to do involved pull requests and everything. Definitely something I wish UVU had shown me. Yeah, No, it's a really good question, and I don't disagree. I think you can, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. What I think would have happened is uh, rather than UVU showing you, it's more like what I would do from a curriculum perspective is require it. Just require it. So in other words, you're still going to have to sort of figure it out, but except that we would make you figure it out, because we can't, we can't handhold you on everything. But I agree that version control is a very important thing. Um, Garrett said, I feel like it gets fairly easy to understand through tutorials. Um, Rather get my field expertise versus something I could learn online on my own. Fair enough. Fair enough. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I don't know how meaningful my field experience is, because at the end of the day, it's a tool. You check stuff out, you check it in, and then if you know how the tutorial works, it's kind of where you're at. But I do find the online interface for Git, on GitHub, to be very cool in the sense of trying to see who's contributing what, who's checking code in, who the contributors are, what the history of something looks like, is something that you don't usually think about when you're just, Ted in the shed doing some stuff. Um, James, I agree that Git is easy to learn through tutorials, but I think that a simple group project that helps you with merging would be awesome for students to get exposure to if they don't know what that's like. I agree, James. I agree completely. Um, oh, is that so? Jack said that when you took the advanced Java class, is there a number on that, Jack, Zach, where you use GitHub for the class, right? That was built in, but obviously not a required class. Anthony states a truism. You can learn anything online, though. Yeah, that's absolutely true. Um, oh, Garrett was asking, sorry, my field expertise on other topics. Happy to do that, more than happy to do that. And or just war stories, from my I've been, you know, I'm trying to figure out how long it's been that I've started. The first program I wrote was when I was 13. So I think that's 48 years, almost 50 years that I've been writing programs. Isn't that weird? That's really, really weird to me. I know it's probably weird to you, nearly half a century. The field's not that much older, the whole field of CS, not that much older than a half century. And I've been writing code for a long time. Um, Tyler said, giant difference between a personal project and a group project as far as using Git. Yeah, I agree. I think learning Git on a personal project is easy. It's the group aspect that's challenging to learn on your own. Yeah. Jack said, yeah, it was 3250. CS 3250 was the advanced Java. That's an interesting one for me to maybe, bring to the faculty, just try to get a feel for whether there's consensus that we pick. Maybe we pick, some required project that has group project and just require Git. Maybe put some resources out, but at least require you to use it and give you the opportunity to use it in a group setting. Yeah, yeah, I like that. Good comments. Good interaction. Beats the crap out of me just sitting here, staring at myself on my streaming software, and hoping that I'm not just bloody wasting your time. That's my biggest concern, honestly, is just that I'm wasting your time. So, let me see. Languages. Why don't we do this? Let's go back up we got Hot Mike. I don't know who that is. Maybe Danny. Danny, maybe? Okay, Duncan, use Git in your software engineering class. Is that one that's required? And what's the number on that one? Thanks, Danny. Um, What's this? What's the course number on that particular class? 2450, and it is required, and it does have Git in it. There we go. That's the answer. Oh, it wasn't Git. Austin said it wasn't Git. Okay. Let's go up to, let me see, modern software developers. I'll give you my sense on a few of these things. And I think, tell me if we've, hit these things and can kind of bounce over. But um, let me start with number two, career titles that you can have as a CS grad and what their day in the life looks like. Yeah, first of all, as a CS grad, um, you can do a lot of different things, and this is a really, really broad question. For example, if you, I'd put it this way: a lot of what you can do with a CS degree has to do with if you go on further school. For example, if you want to go get a law degree, just out of curiosity, I'm going to put just a little survey here in the chat, and you can just give me a yes or a no, yes or no. All right. I'm just going to say law degree, yes or no, which means do you have do you have any interest in a potential going to law school after you finish your undergrad degree? And my experience is that usually it's down in the 1% or less um, sort of category, just out of curiosity. And then if you are, let me see, who's the one? James. Interesting. James, come talk to me sometime. Um, or, hit me up on Discord for a chat. As I think I've mentioned, I do a lot of, consulting work in intellectual property litigation support. You can't do, patent litigation and those kinds of things without um, some kind of expertise, person with credentials, and that's a role that I play from time to time and have done quite a bit over the years. So that's interesting. Okay, but James, um, so James, definitely talk to me offline, okay? I'd love to just chat with you about that um, uh, because I do things like that in my consulting business, and then periodically do little internships and things like that that are dealing in that space of litigation or essentially intellectual property law. And I think it's a pretty cool field. Not for everybody, not for everybody. Okay, next question. Are you potentially interested in an MBA? That would be a business degree, and I'm throwing another yes no. So I won't beat the drum too much about law school, other than to say that intellectual property law is what you mostly do. Usually you don't, bust your butt getting a CS degree, getting a CS undergrad, and then, go be a divorce lawyer. It's usually not the case. But I mean, most of the time, the CS background in the legal field is pretty valuable, pretty dang valuable. Um, okay, MBA, we got three to nine, and a bunch of no shows on the question. The question is, do you have any interest in going on and getting an MBA afterwards? And then related, if you don't mind sharing it for those that are answering yes, if you don't mind, what do you want to do with that? Are you more kind of entrepreneurial? Is it more just that you're interested in doing management kinds of stuff? Um, Businessy stuff? Obviously, you would probably tend to stay in the tech industry. Um, but like we posted this article on Wired, right? Everything is becoming a branch of computer science. You know how I feel. The CS degree is worth so much, no matter what your field is, no matter what your field of endeavor, the CS degree is just really worth a lot. So yeah, if you wouldn't mind, those that are interested in the MBA, what do you want to do with that, and what's motivation? Duncan, I see potential. Do some form of management late in my career. Those tasks seem to naturally come to you as a senior from anecdotes I've heard anyway. Yeah, if you have the aptitude for it, you know. Garrett, software as a business, not super interested in being a developer. Not sure if an MBA is worth it yet, though. Yeah, fair enough. Um, what are the other things? Let me ask one more interview question, which would be, um, let's see. Hang on, if I got this thing ready. There we go. Next one is mostly a programmer, yes or no? Again, just this is really interesting. It's very helpful. Um, Mostly a programmer. And then if you're answering no, what do what's, yeah, what I mean by that is, do you see yourself mostly on a technical track? Mostly a programmer means, you're going to be a senior, be more of an engineer, architect, well, I'm gonna edit the question, but I think it's, I think it'll still keep the meaning. I'm going to change it to say technical track, meaning you're going to write some code. You start in, you're going to become more of an architect. Um, you know what I mean? That you see yourself more on the on the technical track, and then I guess, and we've only got about 15, so we've got some shyness going. I hope that made sense, James. And then for the nose, what do you mean? Um, what does your no suggest or imply? I presume for a lot of you, it's like, well, a lot of people say, I don't see, people will say, I don't see myself writing code the rest of my career. Fine. But then, the question is, what do you see yourself doing? Um, Automation, huge interest for technical. Yeah, yeah. Well, the cool thing too, Tyler, is automation that gets you in a lot of interesting sort of vertical domains. You could do automation in, automotive, manufacturing, test equipment, testing stuff, um, every process basically, but a lot of manufacturing, winds up with a lot of automation. Um, Garrett, marketing requirements in architecture as opposed to implementation. I enjoy discussing business needs and solving those problems. Yeah. Okay. How about the other five? The other four? Cassidy, want to start off in programming, but my main goal is to move up into another position outside of just a programmer, maybe software consulting or architecture. Um, James would much rather help facilitate super smart people getting organized together and work on something awesome than to be grinding in super low level for a majority of my career. I'm buying. Um, 4x4, my other degree is mechatronics engineering, which is a lot about how to design assembly lines and build robots. Okay, and that's very cool. The assembly line thing is, if you've seen videos of whatever it is, bottling or, whatever, putting food in cans, or I don't even care. There's so much to that, environment, so much complexity. Riley, while I would like to stay focused on technical fields in my career, I don't want to rule out other opportunities in management or other non-technical positions. Cool. That's cool. Is anybody, one other one I'm going to drop on you. Boy, everything's slow. The question is, I'm just waiting for this thing to pop here, which is again, we're talking professionally, technical or I'm going to edit that to say and or other. So writing, technical and or other writing. That could be documentation writing, but again, viewing it as a career where you'd predominantly be writing as a significant now, and I'm ignoring the part that writing plays a role in being a developer and being on that technical track. But I mean writing technical articles, writing books, or and then I'm going to do one more. Interesting. So no, technical. It's technical writing, meaning it's writing. Writing is yes. Let me. Is that not clear? Or you know what I can just do? I'm going to change the question. Writing again as your main profession. It's interesting. The numbers, the distribution is falling out almost the same, and I know it's a little bit different. Um, but it's like writing books, writing articles, writing, I don't know, blogging. And then one more, which is teaching, yes or no. And again, the presumption is, for the most part, staying in the field, of software. Um, you know, still operating in the software domain. Um, all right. And then again, for those that are swimming against the tide, teaching being could be either way, James. Or sorry, Tyler. Teaching either way. Just interested in teaching as part of your career. Yeah. So James said rather mentor a few people than be a professional teacher slash professor. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Um, well, 11. Okay, talk to me. Those that said teaching. That's a majority. That's surprising me. Enjoyed 4x4. Enjoyed working as a tutor. Um, Riley said, I see teaching as an option in the future, but I want to work in the industry for a while before trying to pursue it. Yeah, which is what I did. I mean, what I did was I was always teaching, like on the side. I was always doing something teaching on the side. I just loved the classroom. I loved helping people. Loved, watching the light come on when somebody was trying to understand material. There's something about that environment that I always really loved, and it wasn't until I didn't join. I wasn't a full time faculty member until I was 39, and I was at Oregon State, and then I was at BYU when I was 40. So I didn't. I mean, I was basically pushing 40 before I went full time teaching as career. So that's really interesting. Um, Anthony, very interesting one. So Anthony said, I rarely even think about my future career with how fast the tech industry is moving. Right. Yeah. I mean, you know, go ahead and make a 5 year plan in this industry. Right, Anthony? I mean, it's like not going to be, everything's going to change. So what's it mean? But I do think that you can get in touch with, in all fairness, you can get in touch with, in general, I really like sitting in a cube by myself solving problems. That's great. I mean, if that's what you love, there's always going to be opportunity to do that. If you love being in a classroom setting, or if you love writing, you love speaking, you love, thinking about things that are a little, like the legal things, or, you know, designing or building a business, getting in touch with some getting in touch with yourself. You know what I mean, Anthony? I would still recommend being in touch, not with what the industry is going to do, because you can't control it, you can't predict it, but at least getting in touch with how you feel. You know, um, Kelsey would love to teach kids who show an interest. Yeah, I have a cousin who wants to learn, and I would love to go show him the cool things that coding can do. Kelsey, to do it, do it. Vaulted Path, working with virtual reality would be a lot of fun. I agree with that. Riley, other Riley, couldn't get interviews for software development, so I just go with the flow and go wherever my career takes me. It's worked out pretty good so far. The less I think about what I want, the better things seem to go. Nice, nice, Riley. Yeah, I don't know. There comes a point. I just want to say there does come a point where, like, I remember coming to a position where it was like, I want to have a grad degree. I just remember somewhere in my undergrad where I just got it in my head, was like, I want to have a grad degree. And then that evolved, like, well, could be law school, could be an MBA, could be a grad degree in CS. What am I going to do? And then eventually that morphed into, I'm going to get a PhD. I want to get a PhD, you know. Oh, let me ask you that one. Yeah, yeah, well, that was where I was going, Duncan. Hit the same realization. Um, Let me go. Levels of interest in a grad degree in CS. I just dropped the survey question. Grad degree in CS. And then, I'm dropping a question about PhD. Just, again, just out of curiosity. Cassidy, grad degrees are a gateway to doctorates. It's very terrifying. And speaking of which, oh, I got the maybe going down. Thank you for the maybe. And for those that are interested in, especially PhD, hit me up. I know I've been really busy, kind of emerging out of some of that insanity mode that I've been in all semester. But if you want to hit me up on Discord and just talk about, I mean, it's not, everybody's not going to be interested in talking about getting a PhD, but if there was, for example, like a little separate section for those that were interested in grad school, kind of, well, and we could even do it during this time period, and just, I mean, apologies to those who don't care, though, I guess, trying to keep everything as much as possible, you know, what I mean, broadly applicable to everybody, just to be fair. Let me see. Yeah, I'm caught up on comments. Yeah, I mean, what about this? What about this? I'm dropping another survey question. It is, should we do a class session about grad school? Um, and again, for those of you that are like, really, no, no, please, no, vote no. And I want to be fair to everybody. I know you may find it interesting anyway, even if you feel like, nah, I'm not going to go, but it would be interesting to hear it. Wow. Okay, that's a surprising, yeah, the flat smile. Well done, Aaron. Neutral face. Um, interesting, interesting. Okay. I mean, that's as compelling as any other topic we've hit, probably. Um, yeah. So let me see. I just want to say one thing about, and we've only got about 10 minutes about relative to the questions up here. Um, what is expected of modern software developers? I want to just say this. I'm going to pop down the list real quick, and then I think next time let's talk about grad school. Yeah, let's talk about grad school next time, and come with your questions. And if that's really a great topic and spills over, we can go to the following week. I don't care. We got we got two more times to do this, and we can do whatever the heck we feel like. Yeah, two times after Thanksgiving. What is expected from modern software developers? I would say more than anything ever in the past is that you understand frameworks. When I was a kid growing up, being the software guy, there were no frameworks. You had languages. Everything you were building, everything pretty much from scratch. Today, you need to understand, I don't even know, .NET, so that whole, you don't just learn the C# language, you learn .NET, or you learn sort of, CSS, HTML, and JavaScript as a kind of a framework that fits together, or you learn, you know, you're not just learning a language, you're learning the framework that the language sort of ties you into and then brings with you a bunch of prefabbed knowledge and functionality. The biggest problem with frameworks is that they bind you to a particular kind of worldview, and the best thing about frameworks is that they bind you to a particular worldview. So by binding you to a particular worldview, they give you this really cool advantage because I get all the things that you've built for me, and I'm reusing all of that knowledge and letting the system auto generate my code. The problem is if I want to do something unique, like even if it's something like WordPress, being really good at writing WordPress plugins is a really great career. Being really good at writing plugins to certain frameworks can be a great, great career. Um, but that to me is probably the biggest shift compared to when I was coming out of school, um, which was 38 years ago, was when I was graduating with my undergrad. 33. 33 years ago was when I graduated with my undergrad. That's the biggest change. So I would say that's probably the number one thing. And then the other thing I would just say about what's expected and what the different titles, look like is this sort of important thing. Let me see. Hunter said, I wish frameworks were taught more in classes. I didn't really know about them and their importance to a lot of interviews I had asked me if I'm familiar with the frameworks they use. Yeah, and by the way, can I say this, Hunter? If they say, "Oh dear, you don't know my framework, we can't hire you," then they're idiots. Can I just say that? They are idiots if you need to already this it's not, remember the orders of ignorance? It is not what you already know, but rather your ability to learn it. If you're the one who can learn whatever they can throw at you, then it doesn't matter what you already know. And they need to figure that out. And if they really can't figure that out, then they don't deserve your skill. Okay, they don't deserve what you're bringing. But the other big thing I would say besides frameworks that's shocking to realize or come to realize is how much of your job isn't writing code or doing whatever the thing is. About most developers spend about 50% of their time actually coding. Those are developers. So when people are like, I've known kids that have done this where they're just like, yeah, I changed my degree from CS, I changed it to business or whatever. And I'm like, really, what's going, and that's okay. There's nothing like morally wrong with changing your major from CS to something else. But they were just like, yeah, I just didn't see myself sitting in a cube, writing code 8 hours a day for the rest of my life. And I would always just say pretty much the same thing, which is, who in the hell told you that? That is not a thing. It's not a thing. I mean, there are 8 hour days in which you'll sit and do all kinds of things. You want to go be a business major, there's going to be 8 hour days you're going to spend in a spreadsheet. I mean, there's stuff you do, but I mean, the notion that you're going to spend all day, every day, just sitting there 8 hours a day writing code, it's not true. If you're a developer, your actual code time is about half your time. The rest of the time is documentation, talking to people, communicating, meetings, design, interactions, it's all other kinds of stuff. And that writing code is not all CS is about. So when I see somebody bail completely out of the major, like, I just didn't see myself writing code, so I changed my major. You know how long it's been since I've written code full time? I can tell you, the last time I wrote code full time as my job was 1994. And that was 6 years after I finished my degree. So for 6 years after my undergrad, I wrote code, and I haven't written code full time. I mean, I've written code, but I haven't written code as my full time job since 94. So what is that? 27 years? Am I doing the math right on that? 20, yeah, yeah, that's 27 years. You know what I'm saying? It's not just about, it's about doing whatever you really want to do. Then you can go do it. Um, Let me see. Great comments. Let me see. Ashlyn, I'll take as much solo coding time as I can get. I think my elation when everything went remote signifies something about your future. Nice, nice, Ashlyn. As a software engineer rather than a manager, teacher, consultant. Yeah. I mean, you got to be true to yourself, right? You got to be true. Figure out your own shtick and be true to it. That's right on. That's right on. Whatever that is, there's no right or wrong. In fact, I would say that people like Ashlyn, who are potentially quite content. It's the old cliche about just keep you in your cube and then we just throw raw meat in, and code pops out or whatever. There's the old engineering cliche. I think that people who are like that in many respects are more content, because I was always discontented and looking for the next thing and getting very fragmented, writing, teaching, writing articles, doing management, doing business stuff. I was always so fragmented that it was hard to feel competent at anything. So I sometimes would envy, seriously, Ashlyn, I would envy people who were just really content to just drop into the zone and crank, you know? So that's all good. But anyway, so just understand that I'm going to delete that being whatever that is not every day, all day. And we've talked quite a bit about what different career titles you can have. I think we've talked quite a bit with the survey, you know, but there's a lot of technical writing, a lot of teaching, a lot of managing. There's QA type stuff and testing. I love software testing, by the way. Your job is to break the hell out of things. If you're that destructive kid and you really do enjoy breaking stuff, software testing is a lot of fun, because your job is to be malicious. Um, and then I think that we have talked about what else you can do with a CS degree. Yeah. And then I think we've been talking about that one. And I think didn't I talk previously about freelance? Yeah, Tyler just said it right on. There's no downside to QA. If you find a bug, good. You don't find a bug, good. However, Tyler, if you don't find, there's the flip side, which is that there's always downside. If you don't find bugs, piss off the development manager. If you find bugs, piss off the developers. There's that. Okay. Because, you're calling someone's baby ugly, you're breaking it. They think they're shipping and you're breaking it, and then they look bad. I've seen that, but I've seen that go bad. Um, and then we're out of time right now. Why don't we pause and we'll come back to, um, we're going to come back to grad slippage, grad school. Um, okay, we'll come back with grad school next time, and if there are some of these that are here that you're dying to get into, elevate them, upvote them, drop comments, and that'll be what pushes it up. Otherwise, I'm going to go least resistance and do whatever I want. Okay. Well, hey, we're out of time. I'm good to stop right now, but let's hit grad school next time. We're going to grad school. Okay, see you, friends. Great discussion today.